So, right, let's get going. We've already heard throughout the conference that it's a fundamental to have a great team of people delivering excellent service. So in this session, we're going to look at lots of things around staff, retention, recruitment, training, and ask as an industry, how we'll ensure that in future we have a robust, motivated workforce. So joining me in this session is Suzanne Davies, who's the CEO of the Marina Industries Association out of Australia, and also Christina Samoulada, is that, we're pretty close there, Christina, excellent, who is Chief People's Officer with D-Marin. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take to the sofa next to them, I think, rather than actually try and I'll get a crick in the neck. I think so.
Let's do it a bit informal, right?
We'll definitely keep it informal, shall we? But yeah. So this is a topic that it doesn't matter whether you're a group, a small family-owned marina, and it almost doesn't matter which country you're in, does it? Most of the feedback we're getting is that there's a challenge. I have I've got a Gen Zer in my household, and I understand that the things that motivate them, the career options that they have, and the fluidity of everything is a challenge to all of us. But I suppose in terms of setting the scene, just in broad context, what are you both, and I'll start with you, Christina, if you don't mind, what do you see as, sorry, Suzanne, as some of the biggest workforce challenges right now, and how has that sort of changed in recent years?
Okay, this is an interesting but a very basic question. And I'm happy for this session because I think we started the day exactly how it should, with the people topic. And I was really happy to hear the first panel today with all the senior people from the marinas, which were represented from bigger groups, not only D-Marin, but also smaller ones, tackling exactly the topic of people. Because yes, we've been talking about shareholders and customers, but we have to keep in mind that without people, none of the rest is going to happen. So people is the #1 topic. And the challenges are a lot, because marinas have been evolved in the last years, I think. And the challenges remain the same. First of all, and it was mentioned earlier, we're not an attractive sector. It is not because we're not sexy as an industry, right? I think this is one of the best industries to be with, coming from a totally different aspect. But people just don't know about us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They have not thought about the marinas as a potential employer. Needless to say about employer of choice, right? You go to universities, you go to institutions, you talk to people from other industries, and they were like, I've never thought I could have a career in marinas. So for me, this is the #1 challenge. The #2 is, as we evolve and going into this journey of evolution of marinas, the customer excellence and the mindset is the #2 challenge. So I don't know if you agree, Suzanne. I'll just pass it to you.
Thanks, Christina. Look, I completely agree, particularly around the marina industry being a career choice for newcomers to industry. We do need to market our industry as and demonstrate that it is a serious career choice for people. It's not something you fall into, or you fall into because you're a boater and that's where you end up. I have an example of somebody in my office she's a boater, she's educated, she's been to university, and she went and did other things, and it was only that I found her and said, come with me, come and join our group. She loves her job, she's in training and education, and she should have been there right from the beginning, because she's a sailor, she owns 2 boats, her parents own a boatyard. What better employee, but she never considered embarking on a marina career. So I'd also agree, I think recruitment and retention, and I think we will touch on that further shortly. But yeah, they're some of the key challenges we're hearing, particularly in the service yard side for the service yard side of the businesses for recruitment and retention.
And yeah, interesting. And we're we're competing with other sectors, right? We're competing with the hospitality sector, or are we, or aren't we, or what do we think about that?
I think we are for food and beverage. I think we need to look at the hospitality sector as an opportunity for us. We have there are employees there, they're trained, seasoned professional service people, and to bring that across into our industry can only benefit our industry. They will come with that culture, that service culture that they bring, and that's a great thing. So I don't think we should see hospitality as a threat. I think we have a better offering than hospitality, because once we start to demonstrate the diversity of the roles that they can take on, we've got some really broad offerings that people can move into from food and beverage, for example, or they can stay in food and beverage. But I think we do need to look at it as an opportunity to recruit from. Our main competing sectors in Australia, particularly for our service yard workers, are those sectors that are throwing big money around, and that's mining and construction.
Understood, yeah. So there's...
Can I give a different twist a little bit to that?
Yeah, indeed.
Because I think we see hospitality, and that is the obvious part where we need to address ourselves. But there is a Red Sea out there, right? There is a lot of hotel chains, and we're just fighting for the same people. Nevertheless, what we have seen and has proven to be very successful, it is like, if we look somewhere else, because the truth is that we're hiring for attitude, and we train the rest. So, retail. For us, retail has been proven a golden mine, because people have the right attitude, they have the numbers logic, they have the customer obsession and hungry, because they are also fighting in a Red Sea. And this is also something that it is not in the first thing that comes in everybody's mind. The second thing is the nautical schools. We're all going there in order to see or give speeches, etc., etc. These people are thinking of becoming captains, but not marina managers, right? Why?
Yeah.
I really cannot tell the why now, even though we have a lot of common elements. So I think we need to start thinking on a totally different mindset and see industries or sectors that have not been the typical areas where we're hiring from.
Yeah, interesting. And so on that thread, Christina, so as far as D-Marin are concerned, so what's worked for you? You know, what approaches have you taken, and what's worked?
Listen, managing...
Where do I start, is it?
It's not an easy thing, and people is never an easy topic. But in terms of recruitment, what we have seen as proven successful, and people talked about partnerships on the first day. I'm going to give a different spin to that. So partnership for us is partnership with universities, partnerships with associations, partnerships with specialized headhunters. So this is very important, and universities has proven a good part for us. So we're partnering with nautical universities in Turkey. I have my colleague here. We are partnering with tourism universities, but we're also partnering with universities that have to do with economics. People are looking for alternative options, and I think we can be a really good one. So universities is the first option. Then the second thing that has proven right is not looking for these pure technical skills that we're always looking as marina managers and marina business, but looking beyond that to what people have to offer in terms of behavior. And this is where I think the name of the game is.
Yeah, fascinating, yeah.
Can I just add to that, just from an association support perspective? And really the associations need to work with the marinas, and particularly some of the big marina groups, because you've got the ability to communicate to industry or to potential workers as well, as do the associations. And I think what we lack the ability to communicate really clearly are some of the career pathways. So we need to be able to demonstrate to workers that there are pathways that they can take, and there are varied pathways as there are in any industry, but there are pathways for people to grow, but there's also entry-level points as well, and we need to get out there with some outreach activities. Christina mentions universities. In Australia, we also market to schools, and in fact, as an association, we have just recently developed a program called the Dockhand course, and we give that. It's a presentation and a full facilitator guide for mariners to go out to the schools in their local communities to say, who wants to be a dockhand? Who's interested in working on this marina? And some of these kids will come in as part-time workers on the weekend. And so it's then up to the mariners to make contact with the schools. They've got all the materials, then to deliver a course to them for a day. And from that, that's a great recruiting ground for them as well, but it also gives exposure to the industry and demonstrates some pathways. And I think the other interesting thing, just in terms of support from associations to mariners, in Australia we have developed something called a brand around our marine careers, and it's called Marine Jobs. And Marine Jobs we try and use for some of the training that's done and recruitment activities and these outreach activities. And wouldn't it be wonderful if, as a global industry, we all backed the same brand and we were all out there talking about marine jobs. And we all know that it's not just marina jobs, because we get this crossover in the marine industry. So we all need to work together on that.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're doing there with marine jobs, and I could definitely see the power of that if it's adopted. So, and once it is adopted, Suzanne, and we've got young people, that a reasonable flow of young people into our industry. Well, not just young people, but actually people moving into our industry. Then how do we keep them? So what's the recipe that D-Marin has that helps to keep young people, or Suzanne? I mean, either way, what's it?
Well, I'll start what I think is at the broader level, and Christina probably has some more granular stuff from a marina point of view. But I guess my view is we do need to pay our people well. There are other industries that will pay more, so we still need to pay them. But money isn't going to be what retains them, and it's never really a motivator. We have to train people so that they are capable, able and confident to do their jobs. That will help to motivate, or help to realise that motivation that's within them. Otherwise it can be stifling. But I think from my point of view, the main thing is for people to feel that they are part of the business. And if they feel like they're just outsiders, or and somebody mentioned something today and I wrote it down, and it was John from it was Kenny from IGY talked about moving people around and giving them something else to do all the time. And if they feel like they're part of the business, they're involved in the business, that feeling of being in on the business and being able to make a difference to the business is a really powerful motivator. And I think we need to continue to find ways to do that. But yeah, it's really just going to be about money, isn't it? But yeah, so training and engaging employees and making them feel like they're making a difference, in my view.
And that's interesting, that engaging with employees, and something a colleague of mine Hayley used to work in hotels, and she said one of the wonderful things about our industry, the marina industry, is that it doesn't have this hierarchy. It actually, when it works properly, and it often does, it's a very flat. We're not even in a hierarchy. Everyone is in it together, and everyone recognises and values their employees. And Christina, is that an approach that you take?
I will build a little bit on what Suzanne
Please.
said. So, and reply to your question at the same time. I think if you take the basic Maslow pyramid, right? For sure, paying your people, treating them with respect, ensuring that they have the basics needs to be there. So let's pass this point, because I trust that everybody in this room is doing this. The second thing is that people need a purpose. They need to feel that they belong to something, and this is what Suzanne was saying as well. So I think if we manage to get that first point and create this emotional attachment, is already a win. Let's not forget that people are changing. I mean, we're talking about generations like mine, I would just say 50 plus, that the most important thing was job security. People today are not thinking like that. So in order to be able to retain them, you need to fill other needs of them. And this has to do with the purpose and the sustainability stuff and what we were talking. One of the first things I remember when we came together as a team was to create exactly that. What is our purpose? What is our strategy? What are the behaviors that we need? And then everything we do, we link it back to that purpose. This creates a continuity and this creates a circle, and then everybody can understand why we're doing things and how we're going to do it. So the second part is communication. As you said, marinas are big small societies, right? So this means that you need like a family to ensure that all the team members are part of this thing. Younger generations, the purpose. So purpose, sustainability, and all of that stuff is part of the game. So you need to create emotional connections through activities that help them connect. The second thing is, what am I here for? I'm here to grow, I'm here to learn, I'm here to evolve. So we just need to ensure that we create these contingencies so that people can grow, not necessarily hierarchically. You know, everybody has in their mind, so, okay, I'm going to become a marinero, then I'm going to become a chief of harbor, then I need to become an assistant marina manager, then I need to become a marina. It does not work like that anymore. So the question is, how do you create, and I will confirm what Suzanne and Kenny, I think, said this morning, being able to rotate people in different jobs, and, well, this is the benefit for us as D-Marin through different locations, is another thing. You cannot imagine how happy a marinero is if you send him for 2 weeks in another marina in another country to learn stuff, to give the opportunity to liaise with their colleague. And then the most impressive thing is that they continue this connection and they just keep calling each other if they have an issue. So connecting is the third part. The last and most important is leadership, because all of you guys in here, you're managing people, right? Yes? No? Yes.
I think it's a yes, just a slightly shy
I suppose
yes.
so.
But,
so the
yeah.
question is, what are you doing for them? How are you giving the good example? How are you helping them to teach, and how you transfer your relationship and your knowledge to them? So mentorship, coaching, ensuring that we involve people to things that are not necessarily daily activities. There are simple things in nature that most of us have felt or have been part while we were growing. The question is, are we passing them by? So are we good leaders?
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, it took a little bit longer. But
No. It's fascinating, and I think, I mean, we have a session a little bit later on sort of digitization and you know, we are dealing with a cohort which are digital natives, aren't they? And you know, whereas I find it all a bit clunky, or maybe it's me that's clunky, the systems aren't. But and we. I'm not sure that we actually, we could use that as a way of attracting young people into our industry if they saw our industry as more digitally savvy.
Can I just pick up on one of the points that Christina just made, and that was the point of connection and connecting our employees and allowing them to engage with others. We're all in this room today and have been for, it'll be 3 days by the time we're finished. And we're all here not just to receive information and hear what's going on in industry, but to connect with one another and to learn from one another. And Melanie Symes and I had a conversation yesterday just about allowing the future leaders, the people the next rung down, how do we allow them to connect and to really start to feel part of our industry, and that they are the future leaders of our industry. And we need to give some thought to that. And I know Melanie will probably do some, have further thoughts and communications around that in the coming weeks and months. But just allowing them to start connecting with one another and seeing themselves as the new leaders. They can learn from each other. They can learn from us, the older people. But for them to connect with one another will be really powerful and motivating, and we need to encourage them to come through.
Yeah, and I think that that thread of which, as you say, you referenced back to Kenny Jones earlier on, actually, encouraging their employees to actually learn other aspects of the business and move from site to site, and that actually is is a really powerful thing that we can be doing. And I know other marina groups that focus on ensuring that they multi-skill their employees so they can move from section to section, area to area, and even marina to marina, and keep them motivated, because the younger generation need that continual stimulus, don't they?
To be able to do this, so we need to ensure that all of the people are upskilled to the point that they can play this multi-position role. And there are two things that I think are different today versus like pre-COVID period. This is the customer focus or the customer obsession, and I will go back to the retail part. So I think we need to make customer obsession the #1 skill or the #1 attitude for our people, along with the digital, because the industry is evolving. And you will allow me to use one example. So we have a marinero, right? What the marinero usually do? It helps people berth their boat, correct? Why would the marinero utilize a digital skill? Do they need it? Maybe the response from the majority of people here would be no. The truth is that it is a big yes, both for digital and for the customer obsession, because they are the first person who welcome a customer into the boat, into the harbor, #1. Then the second thing is, as we automate things, not to take their jobs out, but to give them more time to focus on their customer, we can use technology to help them do their job. So when they do the night counting, how many of you still do it with a paper? The list from the front office where you check and you go hand in hand, and then you need to get the list back to the... There are easier ways of doing it. So our marineros are going around with a tablet, and they're actually doing check, 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 and then this going. We have developed a new application for that. So we had to train all our marineros in digital skills.
Yeah.
These are simple things, but it takes time and it takes a lot of training. So I would welcome all of you just to invest a small part of their time and of your investments into training your people. This will come up in multiple numbers in terms of revenues.
And that, I think, actually, and I know that Joe's very kindly, he gets very friendly about this time of the session. And so I think you've probably answered my last question, which is actually, what is really going to make the difference and ensure that our industry retains young people in 2035 rather than 2025, and so Suzanne, have you got a view on that? And yeah, just as a final, you get the last say.
The last say, okay. I think look, if we want to be a career of an industry of choice for our workers, we need to be seen as an industry that supports our employees, that recognises them and sees them as professionals in their jobs. And they need to have fun too. So we need to make sure this generation now, as we all know, are more about just going and doing a job. They actually want to get something out of it. They need purpose, as Christina said, and they need to have aligned values with their employer also. So that's what we need to consider. But yeah, they want to have a good time while they're at work too.
I think it's a great way to finish off this session. It's all to do with fun. but Christina, go on, Christina, go on.
How many of you guys measure NPS, or the satisfaction of your customers?
Net Promoter Score, who's, we've probably got a 10% show of hands.
How many of you measure the satisfaction of your employees?
And we have, they're similar.
I'm really happy then. I think our role here as HR is kind of done. So keep doing that, guys.
Thank you so much, Suzanne and Christina. It's very kind of you.